About this with immigration attorney Matthew Green and CNN legal analyst and former federal prosecutor Laura Coates. So, Matthew, good to have you with us. Matthew, what is your reaction to what we're seeing in these district courts and how it may affect the executive order overall?
Oh, good morning. Well, obviously, things are happening very quickly overnight. It's pretty early where I am, just 5 a.m. I haven't actually been able to look at the orders, but I read the District of New York order last night before I turned in, and I understand that overnight there's been a few other orders. I think it's consistent with the manner in which most executive orders, most federal laws, and the constitutionality of them are challenged. I think that it's a healthy thing. I think that it is indicative of a well-functioning judiciary. It looks like a variety of temporary restraining orders have been quickly considered by federal judges, and this is the way that the law is supposed to work.
Okay, Laura, let me ask you, and I want to read something from this Boston order. It says, Customs and Border Protection shall notify airlines that have flights arriving at Logan Airport of this order and the fact that individuals on these flights will not be detained or returned based solely on the basis of the executive order. So help us understand, if we've got somebody sitting in Iran right now and they have a visa, they were in the U.S., say they went to Iran to visit family, and they're supposed to come back. If they're coming back to Logan Airport or to Dulles Airport, which was specified in the Virginia order, would you advise them to get on the plane? Do you believe that they're safe, essentially, from this for the next 7 days?
According to the order that the judge issued, they would in fact be safe. Unlike what happened in New York, of course, because in New York, there's no guarantee they can't actually be detained or can actually ever leave the airport. And so in the instance of Logan and Dulles, there would be much more protections for those people to come. Now, of course, you have to have an advice of an immigration attorney from your native country if you do believe there's some issues there. But according to the order, the protections will remain in place for people who are already supposed to come or had valid rights of entry here anyway.
All right, so Matthew, let me ask you this. We know that the president can enforce laws. He cannot create them. Based on what we've seen and how expeditiously this executive order, it seems to have been executed, how much staying power do you think the president's order has?
Well, I don't think it has a whole lot as it's being implemented. I mean, again, things have happened very quickly. I think that the most concerning aspect of the implementation of the order has been its apparently the White House directive to include lawful permanent residents as well. I understand, just based on some things I've read here in the last 12 hours, that this was actually a divergence from the policy and the guidance that the Department of Homeland Security was actually giving to Customs and Border Protection, and with good reason. Lawful permanent residents have traditionally and historically been afforded a much higher level of due process. And I think that the fact that the White House decided to diverge from the well-grounded guidance of its own Department of Homeland Security and apply this wholesale to lawful permanent residents is really indicative of a lack of essential understanding of the law, of immigration law, its roots, and how it really is supposed to be applied. Green card holders really are a separate class of immigrants, and we're supposed to treat them differently. So that's concerning to me. I think it's just an example of why, at best, there's a lot of kinks that need to be worked out.
Laura, last word.
Well, this is going to come down to whether or not the president is going to honor the 1965 laws that we already have in place that say that we can't discriminate based on national origin. And so this is going to be a battle in the courts, but I'm glad to know that the injunctive relief has been issued as a temporary way to alleviate concerns and to allow people to have due process protection. If ultimately the courts find that there is, in fact, not an unconstitutionality of this, which I would find surprising, we can go from there. But right now, the courts have done the right thing by preserving the rights of people who expect due process in the United States of America.
All righty. Matthew Green, Laura Coates, appreciate both of you being here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.